All right. Welcome into the MLS Live podcast on Sports Profit TV. As always, I'm your host, Cooper, and with me is Garrett at Just Some Footy on Twitter. Our little intro video did not work there for some reason, but we're going to keep it rolling, of course. Great week last week. Well, specifically outside of the show, not so great. Had some bad weather, wasn't able to get the show up and running. But we did get our official show plays posted to the Twitter, and those went 6-0. So another one of those things we always, we screaming at you guys on the show. Follow us on Twitter for situations just like last week. Was getting ready to do the show last Wednesday night and had a tornado hit my neighborhood and do some damage and scary situation. Glad to be back and was really excited and happy with how the week went as far as the picks, because we did get you guys the picks on the Twitter and ended up doing really well. So 6-0 sweep plus a couple of plus money winners there. So really doesn't get much better than that. Now we are talking match week 17. Love to see everybody in the chat getting it going early. Garrett, how are we doing?
Good, man. Again, I can't just echo that enough about last week. Last week was awesome as far as the picks go. I'm just real pleased with how that went. And so yeah, hopefully we keep it rolling here on a tricky week, man. It's a tricky week when you've got Wednesday games that spill over into Saturday games, and of course, this show is covering the Saturday games. I've already got some plays up for Wednesday on my Twitter or X. Cooper might dip his toe into that. I think he's looking at some. But this show is for Saturday, the weekend slate.
Yeah, we talk about it a lot. Doing a show Monday, Tuesday for Wednesday slate, given the expected rotation and short week, short rest, all that stuff. Just not something that we feel like we can get you guys enough value as far as, is it worth doing a whole show for? Usually no. So we want to get these out ahead of time. Last midweek slate, we were able to get pretty insane closing line value by the time
It's
the
gonna
Wednesday
hit.
games were over.
I was gonna bring it up. It's gonna hit Wednesday night, Thursday morning.
Yeah.
That's when lines get hit after those midweek games finish. So
Yeah.
if our leans are correct, you should see some real decent closing line value here.
Yeah, and real quick, like Kirk said, thank you for reminding me, because of course I always forget. It wouldn't be the show if I didn't forget. Like and subscribe does us a lot of good. The likes really do us a lot of good with that SEO stuff and makes this show more visible, and more people get to join the party and have the fun. So we have a special guest that's going to be joining us later in the show. So make sure you stick around, because we kind of have a special edition show today. We're going to be talking transfers. We're going to be talking some deals that are done. We're going to be talking some incoming and departing rumors. And then we're going to talk some big names that are being linked with Major League Soccer clubs. So stick around for the second half of the show after picks. It should be a really good one. Very quickly, though, of course, I'm going to talk about OddsJam, because they're the sponsor of the show. Right there, they say it. It's betting made profitable. Plus EV tools are fantastic. I followed their Plus EV tools during the college basketball tournament. It was insanely profitable. It's been really good this time of the year for baseball, because they target player props, pitching props, strikeout props, stolen bases, all kinds of stuff. It's really good stuff. And then the most use on my end has to be from the arbitrage tool. State-of-the-art arbitrage tool. It's fantastic. If you're interested in the OddsJam subscription, use my promo code. It's PROPH, PROPH 35 for 35% off. And the link for that is in the description of this video. All right, let's jump right into it. We've got games to talk about, and we've got a 6-0 week to build on. So let's get into it. Garrett, this is your game.
Yeah, so the first game I'm targeting is DC United hosting Toronto. I just can't get enough of this DC attack. Their expected goals is sitting around 29.1, depending on what I don't want to say model, but really what site you look at. That's somewhere between the first and the third best expected goals in the league. While their actual goals scored is only 21, they have the highest expected goals in the league at home. And then they're the ninth worst home side in terms of expected goals against or defense. Um, and they also just lost a starting center back for up to 2 months, and they're
Oof.
super deep as they run typically a back three anyway. So they're down another center back. Toronto's given up two or more goals in their last four road games after a really strong defensive start to the season. I think it's just how it was going to go, right? Like as Herdman was trying to find out what his 11 is, what formation he wants to run. They played pretty conservative to start the season. Now that they've opened it up a little bit, you've seen a couple of different formations and how they want to use Insigne and Bernadeschi. And so they're just going because they're pushing forward more. They're just going to give up more. But especially on the road, they've been leaky. This just gives me like 2-1 score vibes for me with guys coming off a short week. I don't want to pay a lot of juice on this weekend slate without having more data from the midweek games. So getting this around like what plus 105 or even money, depending on the book you're using, this just feels like a really good look for DC United attack, who I think is going to catch up to their expected goals in terms of actual goals scored. I looked at just a wild stat today. We talked about Benteke's aerial dominance, right?
Yeah. Wait.
DC United as a team have won, not just had, but have won 100 more aerial duels than the second place team in Philadelphia Union. Like it's just it's just wild what this team does in the air, and they're fun to watch. So I'm going to tack on goals here. I think both teams get one, and I think you might find a winner, or you could even have like a 2-2 exciting 90 minutes. So that's where I'm headed for the first game.
Yeah, man. This DC United team, in particular at home, the attack is something to behold. I mean, you talked about the XG numbers. Benteke in the air is just freakish. I mean, so I think you mentioned it in the Discord a couple of weeks ago about Benteke. Everybody's, especially Major League Soccer fans, are so impressed, with Benteke's aerial ability. And you mentioned in the Discord, you were like, yeah, but he was already basically the best in the world, even in the Premier League. Like he already was insane in the air, and now
I mean,
he's
when it
playing in
came to
Major League
aerial
Soccer.
duels, yeah, like he's been at the top or near the top in every league. Like so, he's always been great in the air. That was never a problem for him.
Yeah, and so now they figured out how to serve him steaks on a platter there in front of goal, and he does not miss. And it's fun to watch. And then this Toronto team, yeah, man, I'm glad. I am very pleased with that we have a somewhat formidable Toronto FC club this season with the talent that they've got. Some of those younger guys that are starting to blossom, and some of the moves that they've made seem to be working out, and they're buying in. And like you mentioned, the injuries at center back as well. This does feel like a formula for goals and plus money price. I mean, I'm in. So let's
This is
get
one
it.
of those lines that if midweek goes off like they want, it's going to move, and you will have to pay juice.
Yes, sir. Stefan in the chat. Let's get the likes going, guys. Let's hit the like button. We got 26 live watching right now, which is a good number. Let's crank that up. Let's get the likes going, and good to see everybody in the chat. All righty. Let's keep it moving. We're moving on to the next game, and this one is going to be fun. This is going to be hopefully fun for me, and definitely an interesting one. Look, I'm back in the guys at home here to get right. Okay, I'm rolling with Atlanta United to get 3 points here against Charlotte. Look, I respect what they've done at Charlotte this year. New coach comes in. He has solidified things for sure. No doubt, this is a better team than they were a year ago. But I just don't fear them. I just have no fear from this Charlotte team. We've already seen it twice on the road, where teams that have really been struggling have used this Charlotte football club to get right. Okay, we saw it from NYCFC. We saw it from maybe the worst team in the league, New England. Both of them were able
It's
to
not
be.
maybe about it. They're historically bad.
Yeah. Okay. And so the Revs were able to out XG outperform and get 3 points at home against Charlotte. So Atlanta is going to have, and correct me if I'm wrong here because it would definitely change my opinion. Almada is not on any sort of out list. He played 30 minutes at the end of the game last week, so he's good, right?
Neither Amada or Gigi are on the injury report for tomorrow's games. So unless something happens midweek, I would
Right.
assume they'd be off the injury report for Saturday's games. However, that injury report is not always accurate. And every week there is somebody who's not on the injury report, and that injury report comes out the day before the games, who doesn't play um, on game day. So
I,
as of right now, I would assume both of them would play.
I'm willing to be a little more conservative with that statement and say Almada goes and maybe even Giamakis is not 100% and comes off the bench, and I'm still willing to back them in the spot. They got Zande Silva back, which is big. No, that's not his name. Is it Zande Silva?
It
Or
is
is it?
Silva is his last name.
Okay, yeah. So they got him back. He's good to go. The attack is looked a little bit better last week. I just think it's a good. I think it's a get right spot, man. I'm not. Charlotte does not strike fear into my heart. Atlanta and they need a win desperately, like maybe worse than they've ever needed a win. So I'm going to back them here to get it done at plus money.
So this is an interest. Again, you don't send me the plays before the video, so I have to react live to them. It's an interesting spot because Charlotte is the best road defense in the league. So the fact that Atlanta is plus money here is good. I like that. This is going to be sweaty. I don't think this is going to be an easy win by any stretch of the imagination. Um, Getting a little bit of draw tingles on my end, but it's really hard to back Charlotte when you know they just don't have a lot of threat going forward. However, they, again, best road defense in the league. Like they can absolutely just park it, lock it down, and really make Atlanta work for it. Fortunately for Atlanta, they do have game changers in the form of Almada and Giacomakis. Now, Almada's season hasn't been great, right? Like he's been very underwhelming considering like what was expected of him.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to get right. He's going to turn it around. I don't know if it's this game. Like I said, it's a really tough defense, and we'll just have to see how the midweek games go. As terms of always looking at stuff like yellow card suspensions, injuries, stuff like that. But as it stands now, yeah, I can't fault you for being on Atlanta United here.
Yeah, I mean, getting those two guys back is big, and it's just one of those situations where we play value, right? And Atlanta, let me pull it up just so I'm not mistaken. Um, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're winless in 9. Okay. I don't think this team is that bad. I don't think that they are a team that before the season or even before that streak we would have expected to be winless in 9 straight. So I do think this is value. Charlotte is Copetti's gone. They've got 2 empty designated player spots. They are not necessarily razor sharp and attack themselves right now because they've got spots that need to be filled on the road. They're ultra conservative. Like you said, it could be sweaty, but Charlotte just doesn't strike any fear to me. This is a get right spot. So, all righty, let's keep it moving on to the next one here, and we are going to. It's not DRV Pink anymore. What is it now?
Oh, I don't know. It was
I can't
a
remember.
link sponsor that came in.
Yeah, Inter Miami's home stadium here, hosting St. Louis City.
Chase Stadium. Chase Stadium.
Chase Stadium.
Fabian coming in clutch.
Thank you, sir.
So yeah, it's another show. So it's obviously another Inter Miami play, right? Like that's just like that is the show's favorite team. And we're just gonna grab over 3 here at minus 130 while it's still playable. I am very worried that this over 3 gets out of range by the weekend as they're hosting St. Louis City. We've got the Miami offense, right? So check. Tata has hinted that the studs will play both games this week. So check that off too. So now I can expect to see, all the Barca boys out there on Saturday. Both defenses are among the top 10 worst in terms of expected goals against. And this over 3 would have covered in 5 of the last 6 St. Louis away matches. Covered, not just pushed. Like they would have easily covered the over 3 in their last 5 of 6. Now, Miami's going to score. I fully believe that St. Louis should leak against them. But I also think St. Louis could contribute here as themselves as we start seeing more of Leuven coming back. I mean, he came on in the 70th minute this weekend and almost by his creation alone almost got a draw for St. Louis hosting Seattle this week. Dude's just on another level for that team when it comes to creation. They absolutely need him. He's finally healthy again. So I expect to see a lot of him on Saturday. And so, this over 3 at being minus 130 right now is just too good.
Yeah, I mean, not a long explanation there, right? And I get it. No, not really any reason for much of an explanation. If the big boys are playing, let's play it pretty much. And I feel the same way about backing Miami to win games as well if the big boys are playing, just because there's such a gap. I mean, it's absurd. There's really nobody in Major League Soccer that's equipped to hang with this team when they're at full strength. So I like it. Seeing a lot of 3.25s across the market already. So take it, get your push protection, just in case. You never know what's going to happen down there in Miami as far as the weather too. I mean, that's been a factor a couple of times this year already. So I dig it. This was on my short list as well. All right. You're going to go back to back here, Footman, and give us another one.
So then we've got RSL hosting Austin. And so the play is going to be RSL plus under 3.5. So RSL money line plus under 3.5 total goals. Going to get a nice plus 140 here. It's another Austin away game. So another 11-man low block. I kind of kid about that, but they do park it when traveling.
They do.
And while RSL is very much a better side than Austin, I don't think anyone would argue that. ATX will certainly make it difficult. While it's not pretty, it is effective as they don't give up great looks. You've got 12.61 expected goals against on the road for Austin this season, with the 4th most shots against, and they've only conceded 6. So it's expected goals against by volume, and they're just not giving their teams great looks, which is why they've only conceded half of that. None of their away games have gone over 3.5. And this setup kind of means that Austin aren't going to threaten. I mean, they've only got 4.3 expected goals through 7 road games. Like, again, they absolutely park it. Like, the stats speak for themselves. And I do like this price to get a low scoring RSL win, as it gets me off the minus 170, minus 175 money line. Like, I'm not paying that. But here is a nice way I think you can get a really good plus money shout at RSL at home.
Yeah, I like it. I like the approach here with Austin because, I mean, they are a completely different team on the road. I mean, we've seen them multiple times this year create like less than 0.1 xG on the road. I think 2 times, and maybe like less than 0.4 xG on the road, like multiple times. I mean, they're just not creating on the road at all. RSL, man, these guys are cooking with gas right now at home themselves. So I don't think Austin scores, to be totally honest. And we're almost hoping that RSL is not just a runaway freight train here and just totally blows Austin out of the water. And then we're cashing a plus 140 ticket, right? So I'm right there with you. By the way, the MLS Live podcast will be in the building tomorrow night at Q2 Stadium. Gonna sit down there by the field. I'll have to send a tweet out or something on the old tweeter machine. All right, we are moving on to the next one. This is my last one, and it's going to be a parlay. I've got. Let me run it here on the ticker. All right, so the first half of this parlay is going to be Miami money line. We just talked about this game. Do I think St. Louis City contributes? Very possible. Absolutely very possible. Do I think that Miami can score 4 or 5 goals by themselves? Yes, absolutely. I mean, I would not be shocked if this was like 3-1, 4-1, even if St. Louis scores 2 goals. Like, if Messi is on the field, um, it's just unfair. I mean, it's varsity playing with JV type situation, right? So, I talked about it a couple weeks ago. I'm going to use this Miami money line as a parlay piece as much as I possibly can. Miami's won 7 of their last 8 since CONCACAF Champions League ended. And the only one that they didn't win was a draw in a game that Messi didn't play. Even in games that Messi's not playing since then, they've won a couple of them. So, I'm going to use their money line here. And then I'm going to Vancouver and Colorado. And I thought about playing the Vancouver Colorado over 2.5 straight, around minus 125. And then I settled on both teams to score because Vancouver does have a respectable defensive unit this year. And so I couldn't totally rule a 1-1 out of this game. Colorado has really come on strong. The last couple of weeks in attack, they've actually climbed up into the top 8 of expected goals. And I think they contribute here. I would not be totally shocked again if this game was 1-1. But so I'm going to take the both teams to score as a parlay piece there and combine it with Miami and get a plus 133 on 2-teamer here.
Yeah, I'm annoyed with the Whitecaps. Let me just say I like the play. I do like the play. I've got Miami money line in a parlay of my own. And Vancouver and Colorado both teams to score. Feels like a nice spot, and then you're getting a lovely price for it. Vancouver annoy me because Sartini is walking a line that's between stubborn and foolishness because of how aggressive he plays these fullbacks, which is going to leave just space open for Colorado to come in behind at the corners. I don't even think Kevin Cabral is a good player. All right. Like, I don't think he's good at all. And he might score this game because of just he's going to be allowed to run free in behind that defense. And those center backs just get left out to dry.
Yeah.
Sartini's got to reel in those fullbacks or Vancouver are in trouble. And then Colorado, I mean, they might have something with Navarro. Like, he's not just a penalty merchant. Like, he's actually scoring open play goals and would be a record signing for them if they trigger his purchase option at the end of the loan. So yeah, he might actually be legit. And so he's a big part of why the Colorado attack is steadily getting better as the season goes on. And yeah, I do. I like both teams to score here. Vancouver, on paper, their defense looks good, but like when you watch them, it is clear that they are just saying, you can have this space and we will just try to beat you through it. And that's why they're on what's their form right now? It's awful.
Yeah, they're on a little bit of a struggle bus right now, which is interesting because they're not. It's not like they're a bad team. They have lost in league play. They have lost 3
They've
of their
lost.
last
I know they've
4.
lost 4. Well, they in all competitions they've lost 4 of their last 5. That's
Yeah,
including getting knocked out of the Canadian Championship by
Cavalry.
who was it? Calvary.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Can't
I
get
take
knocked
it
out
back.
by
I
Cavalry.
take it back. They lost. They didn't get knocked out of the Canadian Championship because it went to aggregate. But Calvary won that match. But still, like, Vancouver should not lose to a Canadian Premier League side, like, regardless of what's going on.
Yeah, rotation shouldn't matter. You should not be losing.
But I do like the play. I just had to vent on Vancouver. I'm so annoyed right now.
I don't blame you. But yeah, a little too juicy by itself, so I threw in Miami and rock and roll. So that's all
You don't
5 of them.
get a lot of both teams to score like straight up playable in MLS. Like, the books just don't like it because they know there's not a lot of defense.
Yeah, you really don't. You really don't. So catch a live number early, if you can, or use it as a parlay piece. But all right, so that's 5. That's our 5 official show plays for match week 17. Now,
I do want to note before we move on real quick that after this weekend, things get hectic. You've got the international window opening up with friendlies, and then a week later, Copa America starts. So, like, there's a lot of guys who you will not see for the next 4 to 6 weeks playing. Because they're not coming back for that week, like that week in between. They're going to stay at camp and training and try to get, geared up for Copa America. So like most of your guys are leaving after this weekend. Like I think Messi's leaving after this weekend. The Canadian guys, the couple of U.S. national men's team players who are leaving, like, and you're going to have a lot of MLS guys, not only starters, but also just important depth pieces just away for their team for the next month. So that's something that we will be focusing on when we cap going forward for the next 4 to 6 weeks, as well as anyone who you listen to for information. Like they should be taking that into account because that is going to be a big deal.
Absolutely, and things will get hectic. I mean, it's going to be a little frustrating, but we will do our best to balance that, and also find the edges in those situations. Whether it's unders, whether it's underdogs, it doesn't matter. We're going to try to find edges in those scenarios. But as promised, we are going to get to some transfer discussion, transfer rumors, some done deals, and we're going to bring on special guests right now to the stage. If it works out, there we go. We got 3. We got Fabian Rinkel, currently covering MLS in all facets. Has done some writing for Forbes Soccer, SBI Soccer, tons of good stuff that you've done over there. I've been following you for a while.
Thank you.
So good to have you on, man.
No, it's a pleasure of mine, and I'm glad everyone's safe, especially because of the news last week, excuse me. And no, it's a pleasure of mine to be on. I used to write for Forbes Betting, so this is my home basically, So I'm excited to be here to talk transfers with you guys.
Sweet, yeah, it's the perfect podcast then for you to be joining, because that's what we do here. We're all about Major League Soccer and betting. So, but yeah, we'll take it from the top here. I'm gonna see if my presentation, what I'm gonna have to do to squeeze this in, how it's gonna work exactly. Because I've got a presentation. Let's see. How will this fit? That's just me. Bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what we got. Boom.
Voila.
First time having 3 people on at once. So here we are. Right off the bat, let's talk some done deals. Chucky Lozano, Mexican national team. I wouldn't quite say a legend, but very well-known Mexican national team player. Some of you probably know him most recently from his time at Napoli when they won the Serie A 2 seasons ago. Last year he was at PSV in the Netherlands, and it's a done deal. He's signing for the for San Diego, who will be MLS's newest franchise next year. Fabian, I'll start with you. Do you feel like this is a slam dunk signing? Do you feel like it's like it's a good signing, or do you feel like, I mean, I doubt you feel like they missed here. It's hard to miss on this one, but what do you like about it? What don't you like about it?
Well, so this one, I am a little weird about this one. This is one where I'm like, I won't believe it until I see him in a jersey. Because Chucky Lozano has been saying for a while now that he would choose to go to Liga MX over MLS. So I'm assuming the money is there for him to go to San Diego over any Liga MX team, because this guy's adored in Mexico, right? This guy is still the guy who a lot of people think should be on the national team and should be leading the national team in Copa America. But he's been a little bit on a decline ever since the last time he played for the Mexico, so for the World Cup. And to be honest, if he goes to MLS just because the way the Mexican Federation is, he's throwing away his national team. I mean, he's not going to be called up once he's on San Diego. So the rumors came out that he wasn't going to be a part of Copa America because they're going to have a whole new kind of wave with Mexico. Is he finally taking that into account? Right before Tom Bogert kind of said that this was very close to getting done, ESPN sat down with him and they said he was possibly going to go to Liga MX. Was that a tactic to get more money out of San Diego? Who knows? I don't think so. I think it's something where San Diego offered him a very, very, very lucrative amount of money. And there's nothing wrong with getting a guy that's close to his prime, maybe overpaying a bit, but they're definitely going to see a whole bunch of San Diego jerseys sold throughout all of northern Mexico and throughout San Diego. That's for sure. So for me, it's very hard to get this done unless you're paying him something like 15 million a year. That's for sure.
Garrett, are there any figures out about, is this would this need to be some kind of a super deal, or is this just like you're a designated player, you're the face of the franchise, and we're going to pay you a boatload?
Well, I mean, I would agree. San Diego absolutely outbidded Liga MX sides. Like that's what I think happened here. Um, if you told me he's a top 5, you know, paid player when they start in 25, I'd be like, yeah, probably. But this is so much more than getting a good player, right? Like to be like, this isn't the same thing for me. Well, it might be. It's as similar as like getting Vela when LAFC started, right? Like
Okay.
you want that stud, you want to bring in the eyes. But I've been to San Diego multiple times, and I've traveled from San Diego to Tijuana multiple times. Like it's not hard, right? So there's a lot of people who make that trek to go watch Tijuana play. By you bringing in a high profile Mexican to your team right there, you're now trying to pull those Liga MX eyes as well. So like this is, I mean, San Diego is probably going to overpay a little bit, but it's more than just getting a stud on the field. It's getting eyes, it's getting a whole new audience. You're having to compete with 2 stud teams in that state with star power of their own. So I think this was a slam dunk for San Diego, just with all of that encompassed.
Yeah, and even stealing some fans from LA, right? I mean, there's a lot of LA fans out there that like the Mexican national team. You get to see, maybe one of your favorite players of the last generation for this Mexican side. So, yeah, I like it too. I don't know. I think Vela was a better player coming in though. So I don't think we're going to see that type of crazy numbers from Chucky Lozano. But I still think it's going to be a good player, top 10 player in the league for sure.
Yeah, and as long as he stays healthy, I think that's going to be a big part of it. Still kind of on the tail end of his prime. I don't think this deal gets done unless it's in that Southern California area. I think that was obviously a huge factor here. But good signing. We all agree. All right, on to the next tier. My favorite signing that we'll be talking about, because this is my squad. So Osman Bakari comes over from Serbian, the Mozart Bet Superliga. Interesting that they, put that on their league. But look, this guy, he's dynamic. I believe this is going to be the most we've ever paid for a player, because I think we got kind of a steal for Driussi. I don't have the exact figure pulled up in front of me, but this is huge. In all of a sudden, like, they're pulling me back in as a fan here, because I'd completely given up on my team. I was already ready just to throw it away and start over from the beginning. If we can retain Driussi and bring Bukhari in here, we're kind of cooking with gas here, because very electric player. I flipped on his highlights. I've been kind of periodically going back and watching him to try to get a feel for the style. He is very direct. Garrett and I were talking about it before the show. Very direct player, not necessarily a technician, but just so explosive. And when you have a guy like Driussi on the field already, it's not hard to pair those two up for productive games and moments and stuff. So to me, I love it. I think this is what this team needed. I think this team needs to be a goal scoring team. And also, I think that's kind of what this team became known for a little bit. For our only real, like, decent run in the playoffs a couple of years ago was scoring goals. And so, good talent. I'm fine with the price. And this, to me, kind of continues to show that Major League Soccer is now getting players 24, 25, 26 years old that are making a move to Major League Soccer for the money, where years ago it would be, okay, I'll go to Belgium, or I'll go to the Netherlands, or, I'll stay here. Now we're able to start drawing some of those players there. You saw Paintsil come in, you saw Musa come in from Portugal. Yeah. So, I mean, this to me is very positive. I don't want to be like overly dramatic, but I think this transfer window could really be something special across the league. And it could be just continue kind of the rise as far as the caliber of players not just retirement age, not just at the end of their careers, but guys like the players we just talked about, willing to come over for the paycheck, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, because we are getting talent like we've never got before. So I have no issue with it. The structure's there, the way that teams are set up with the money and the TV deals, it's all there. I love it. What do you guys think about this signing?
Yeah, let me hop in on this. So Driussi to me was one of the most famous Argentinian soccer players to never play like in a true European team. Driussi, my opinion, is more than a player for Austin. It's a symbol of kind of a change in pre-courts kind of spending. But then afterwards, you don't have a single kind of dime really spent on this roster until you bring in Rigoni. And personally, Austin's in a spot after they went through the Wolf out era, after they played without Driussi for a bit, where you just spent $4 million on Rigoni, and that was maybe one of the biggest flops of MLS in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
And I don't like them going straight to spending this much money on someone else again. In my opinion, I think Austin is one striker or one offensive player away from being a true kind of contender in the West, because again, the East is a lot stronger than the West. And I think personally, Austin should be waiting for a team that, like, let's say Los Angeles Galaxy or let's say LAFC, to get a big superstar like a Royce, and then have an available kind of MLS guy, proven MLS guy, to come in and bring in some goals. Maybe a guy like Diego Fagundes that you guys gave away for like 150K.
No kidding. Yeah, don't remind me.
So that's the type of player I think Austin needs, to be honest. This player, yes, he's gonna be. I think he's gonna be a good player. I think his physicality, suits the league well. But man, is it risky to go straight into $7 million into another winger or another offensive player right after you just swang for the fences and missed on Rigoni. I think you can get MLS proven guys, kind of like how when Miami was bringing in Messi and all those guys, Lewis Morgan was available, and Lewis Morgan kills it for New York. And that's the type of guy that I think Austin should be really kind of going for, a player that needs a change of scenery instead of kind of swinging with all their chips on this guy. But Driussi, I thought, was worth the money. Not only does he's a great player, but he had some sort of bravado when he played for River Plate, where he would go up to the guys at Barca and be like, "Hey, what's your logo?" So that's the type of player you need to have, a player that's not scared of the opposition. And I thought the money was 100% worth it. Given, do you want to bring another guy with that same amount of money maybe 3 years later? I mean, inflation, of course. I just think it's a little too risky on my end, but I think Austin is one playmaker away from being a force in the West, and I think they see that. I personally would wait for like an Alan Polito to hit the market. You get him on like a cheap GAM deal, or at least you throw some GAM at him, throw Zardes at Sporting Kansas City. Try to get one of those guys where you're overpaying on the contract side and you don't have to risk all this transfer fee for a player that might not work out. If I was a GM, that's what I would be doing, but it is exciting to be a fan again for Austin, because there were some bleak years 2 years prior, right? So it's going to be a fun time for sure.
Yeah, you make some good points there. Garrett, is this as big of a risk as Fabian is making it out to be? Because y'all are scaring me a little bit.
I am terrified that this is a rich man's Obrian. Like just speed with maybe some slightly better finishing. I don't watch the Serbian league. I know Red Star simply because of European play, and they do churn out I think some decent European prospects. But yeah, I'm not convinced about this guy. Like, I have to see him, right? Like, I'll have to see him. It's not Peck, it's not Paint Cell where I'm like, oh, I know those guys are legit coming in. I'm excited to see those guys. This dude's gonna have to show me, not that I'm anybody of importance, but I'm gonna have to see it, like that he's actually worth something. Because yeah, I mean, Austin's track record for DPs is kind of terrible.
Pretty much completely. other than Driussi, who was a slam dunk, but may have been total luck. I mean, it may have been total luck. I mean, he's fantastic. The Regioni deal from day one didn't make sense. So like it worries me that we have, some of the same folks in positions, making decisions. But Stefan in the chat brought something up that I also saw on film. I don't think it's the end of the world. And I even mentioned it. He's raw. Okay. He's a speed guy. He's not a superstar technical finisher, but they're not going to get him to go be a 9. This is not a 9 for Austin. We still need a 9. So I think he will pair well and open up chances with his speed, with his ability on the ball. And he doesn't necessarily have to be the best finisher in the world, although I'm sure he'll score some goals. But I get what both of you guys are saying, and really good points. All right, let's keep it moving on to the next one here. This is a done deal. This is more of a savvy type move that Fabian was just talking about. And look, this is not gonna break the bank. It's not gonna set the world on fire. But I think this is a really solid move for St. Louis City, going to Hanover 96 and in B2. And getting Cedric Tuchert, who's a Bundesliga 1 and 2 veteran, to pair up there with Klaus.
Look, I think if you can bring in a guy that's from Europe and that's proven himself in Europe and have him on a TAM deal, I will never, ever, ever get mad at any club doing that. Personally, I think what a great deal, especially because you get him on a free. Maybe this is signaling that they're out of the Royce sweepstakes, though, so that's something to keep in mind too. But yeah, I'm all for these European guys getting signed on TAM deals. Hugo Lloris is one of them that comes to mind.
My man is a statue.
Yeah, he is. But in terms of like, he's good for a goal every game. I give you that. But in terms of like global impact and stature,
100% worth every penny.
And Crepeau's playing pretty good this season, having some pretty good saves. But this is what I always tell LAFC fans. You're LAFC. You guys tend to have small market syndrome when you guys will get the next European prospect to be interested in your club next year. So it doesn't matter. That Lloris doesn't work out, you get the next one, So personally, yeah, I think this is a great deal. But I think this is so savvy work. It's kind of underneath everybody because – they're already getting it done before anybody even had a chance. This is another one before, though, for the Austin kind of transfer. This is kind of a fun fact, but Inter Miami actually owned the discovery rights to Driussi. So who owns the discovery rights for all these European guys coming over, right? Like, this is something that we're going to be finding out. And why isn't it transparent? So did St. Louis own the discovery rights for this guy? Like, where are the moves going to happen? And where's that money going to be thrown around? So, but I love this move. It's savvy. You probably paid around 50 to 100,000 for the discovery rights on him. And then you have him under as a TAM deal. So 100% I like it.
Yeah, you bring up discovery rights, and we will get into that in a little bit. But no, it's a good deal simply because St. Louis knows their Germans, man. They know they're B2 guys. This is a B2 guy. He's going to come in. He's not going to light the world on fire, but he's absolutely going to help this team out and help them score. And again, it being a non-DP deal is just massive, right? Like, it still keeps a ton of flexibility open for St. Louis to really build on this team. So far I can't harp on anything the St. Louis front office has done. I mean, they were building this team a year out before they even started playing. So I can't harp on anything that they're doing right now. A good signing.
We thought St. Louis City was going to be like one of the worst MLS teams ever.
I was convinced. They were going to be terrible out of the gate.
Yep. But this front office, man, like you said, credit to them because they have built it well and tons of savvy moves. So just add this one to the list. I think he'll be good.
What St. Louis did that was really good, and I think a lot of people will think it's underrated, but they played a year in MLS Next Pro, and I think San Diego is going to be doing that next year. With a lot of the European guys, the biggest issue is getting them accustomed to the American lifestyle. If you could do that in the secondary league, and then you get all those kind of kinks out of the hose already out, before their first full season, they're going to be better than a lot of teams coming, straight out the gate. So I didn't think they were going to be that good. And I know the sophomore slump's coming in pretty big, but I always thought they were going to do pretty decent since they all are already accustomed. And then they're already accustomed to that rocking fan base that everybody loves, So pretty interesting story though.
Yeah, that's a good point about the MLS Next. I follow that league a little bit. I probably follow USL a little bit more, but as far as
some money lines on those the Quakes 2 versus LA Galaxy 2 or
dude,
the Town FC versus I think it's Coventry. I don't even know the name now.
Yeah, it's grimy, man. Is the Tacoma Defiance still around? Is that do they still call it that? Yeah. All right, so on to our next one here. We're going to talk about a couple of departures that look like they are likely departures, and then a rumor in here. Reynoso, the saga continues with this guy. Dude is just, I don't know what he's doing. I mean, from pictures in Argentina with drug lords to, going off the radar for a month at a time. He's just all over the place. So, I don't know if this is a total done deal or not. At first I saw it was reported as it was done. I think it's very close. It looks like Reynoso is heading for Tijuana. So, Garrett, did we end up verifying that this is done, or is it just
I haven't seen anything final. I just know that Tijuana is leading the race right now, and Minnesota do want to sell. Like, they want to move on. So
get him out of here.
I fully expect a deal to happen, and I don't have any information as to why the Tijuana deal would not go through if they're leading the pack right
now. Any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so I think he's played his last game for Minnesota for sure. I think this is a situation where they're going to get him out before more things come to light. This one's a weird one. I've never, he's the original kind of MLS scandal, right? We have Forsberg this year. We have Bopenza this year, but Reynoso has been the MLS scandal guy for about 2 years now. And I think Minnesota is just like, you know what? We got a new coach. We got a new system. We're playing good. Ludd is playing out of his mind. Let's not ruin what we have. Let's get him out of here before anything happens and he kind of ruins the chemistry that we have going on. But it's weird because some of the Minnesota players were coming out and saying that, he's the nicest guy on the pitch, but when he goes back to Cordoba, he's a different person. So this could be a situation where, you can't take the dog out of, you can take the dog out of the hood, but you can't take the hood out of the dog, So it's something where maybe he wants to go home and flex and he gets stuck in some bad situations.
Seems to be.
And we've said multiple times on this show that
he's a head case. I mean, we've talked about it here. Like he's a head case. He's this man could be one of the best 10s to ever play in MLS. Like, he's got that kind of potential. And, sometimes those guys just, for whatever reason, can't get their lives in order to, reach their potential. And this is one of those cases. I'm just glad Minnesota's finally moving on. Like, I wanted them to move on last year. So I'm just fine. They're finally pulling the plug.
Right on.
And opens up a DP spot come the summer.
That's true. And this is a good team that they've already got
for a good Minnesota side. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Next one here. This is more smoke. Cruz Azul. And I thought this was a little weird, to be totally honest. I think it's a kind of an left field rumor a little bit, and I think it's a little bit of a strange fit. I mean, I've seen like somewhere in the $7-8 million bid range being thrown around on this rumor. Last week, the reporters asked Atlanta's coach about this, and he said, "Ask the GM." Basically, like, I don't want to talk about it. Like, ask the GM. So I don't know what's going on here. I personally, knowing MX pretty well, as far as the league and how teams operate, I think it would be kind of a strange fit because they were going after Zapata. And that apparently was denied, or they didn't bid enough money. Money is really not an issue for this Cruz Azul team, even though they have gone a little bit more into the youth development area in recent years. I think if they offer 10, 9, 10, Atlanta's got to take it, right? I mean, is that where we are with this one?
I think
Yeah,
they're
look,
taking 7.
yeah, the age, and then also, I mean, you guys probably watched Liga MX final. You know, it was something where a nice 9 would have been a nice thing for Cruz Azul to have, to be honest. And I think a lot of teams in Liga MX are viewing the Brandon Vasquez transfer, and they're like, man, maybe we can do that. We can grab a, maybe not a bargain bin guy, but a guy who is proven at this level, and a guy who can actually, maybe lead the front three instead of having to like develop one. I think Giamakis is on the cheap, to be honest. I think because of his age, he can be, purchased at 7, like you said. I also think Pineda didn't want to answer any questions because once he's gone, Giamakis is gone too. So I think this is going to be a whole new facelift for Atlanta. I actually think this one's a little bit more than smoke. I think this has to do with maybe a new coaching change and a GM change coming. I think Almada's gone after the Olympics, after Argentina kind of balls out the Olympics. And I don't see any of these guys coming back next season for Atlanta. That's for sure.
I think this started out as a bid to get a new contract. And I think Atlanta then got like, oh, wait, there are these kind of offers out there? Like, okay, like, because they got to remember they bought him for 4. So if they're able to get 7 and pull $3 million out of a guy who was only here 18 months, when you're already probably having a reset coming, like Almada's going to start the reset, right? You sell him, you've got to start looking around at what you want to do. This is I think for Atlanta, this is just a bonus, being able to get profit off of a 29-year-old who came when you're going to have to hit the reset button. Yeah, that's just good business.
$3 million for MLS side is a lot too. So if you could profit $3 million on a downward year, especially you become the laughing stock of all Atlanta teams, you're going to take the money, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you guys kind of hit the nail on the head too. Like, this Atlanta team, this was always going to be the summer that Almada is probably sold, right? This is going to be a rebuild, and it's interesting because Atlanta is such a big market, and they've been known to spend. This team is going to look completely different, 6 months from now.
Now, Almada is interesting because I think he needs to ball out at the Olympics to get the kind of price tag Atlanta are looking for, which is somewhere around $30 million. Otherwise, this could come to an ugly head where Almada wants to go.
Yeah.
And Atlanta's like, no, I'm going to hold out for 30. Like that's not a situation you want to be in. So unless he balls out at the Olympics, which he has the ability to do, I mean, he's going to captain that side. So if he has the, that's something he can definitely do. But if he doesn't, Atlanta's going to have to lower that price tag because he's going to want out.
Yeah, look, I think Argentina is my favorite to win the Olympics, to be honest. Especially they announced Otamendi today, and then they announced Julian Fernandez. So I think Almada's going to have the pieces around him. So I think it's a high chance he balls out, unless he gets hurt, right? So and they still, what's funny is they only announced 2 of those guys because maybe the third one is Messi. Who knows?
Inter Miami would have a fit.
Yeah, they would. Yeah, they would.
Is there not an age limit on Olympics anymore?
You get 3.
There is. You can have 3 guys where you can choose whoever you want. So maybe it affects Inter Miami both ways, right? With Di Maria going to the Olympics or Messi, right?
Yeah, we'll get to the Di Maria discussions here in a sec. All right, on this next one, guys, cut me a little slack. I was trying to verify this as after I made the graphics, it was a whirlwind of a day. I think I was duped by a fake report that has since been deleted that Royce was going to Girona, unless either of you guys can verify that fake report while I'm talking. But I don't think that's happening because I cannot find it. So the rug was swept out from under me. Oh, well, it happens. So just focus on these tiny little logos by his right ear instead, because that's what we're going to talk about. Obviously, he's completed his career at Dortmund, club legend. It was really cool to see how he went out there and the respect that the fans had for him and what he's done there. Charlotte has got the discovery rights, and I kind of know what this rule was intended to do, but it's just becoming a mess. Hopefully this is something that could be changed. Nothing against Charlotte, but I don't know if they have that draw yet. Like, I don't like I know MLS is growing, and I know, big time players are going to come to not the largest market in the league anymore necessarily, but I just don't know if Charlotte has that draw yet. I would love to see, and then obviously St. Louis City with the Bundesliga connections. LA Galaxy is LA Galaxy. They're the New York Yankees of this league. So, what do we make of where we are at right now? Garrett, you first. Is MLS still an option for him, or is he going to land somewhere in Europe?
Just from my take on it, I don't think he's coming to MLS. And I'm not sure it's because it's only because Charlotte has the rights. He doesn't want to go to Charlotte. Now, like, it's been reported that, yeah, if you want his rights from Charlotte, you're going to have to pony up like a lot of money, a record breaking amount of money, somewhere over the $1 million mark, which is a lot just to get a dude's rights. Okay. Like that's double the record right now. But this is a guy who I think has options everywhere, including in Europe, including on Champion League teams next season. And so if you can, it all depends on what he wants, right? If you want to play competitively still in Europe, stay closer to home, whatever, that's all right there for you to do. Any MLS side is going to be attractive enough for the right price. Like, everyone has their price, right? People are going to come. And so I don't, St. Louis makes sense. Like, it makes a good fit. That German front office, more Germans, like that's how they want to build their team. There's no way the Galaxy make this work. I don't even know where that rumor started, but like, they have their DPs. Like, there's no way they make this work unless he doesn't come in for a big price tag, which he has those price tag options. You've got Qatar and Saudi Arabia, like all those countries are swirling around with offers. Right. And so like I feel like if he wants to get paid, well, that's where he'll go to get paid, like outside of Charlotte. And so, yeah, I just don't see MLS being like the most attractive option at this time.
Yeah. So, Fabian, I felt like you were a little surprised at that response. And respond to that, and then also, where are the LA Galaxy rumors coming from specifically?
So, yeah, the LA Galaxy rumors, I think, are coming from his camp. I think it's coming from the people that manage Royce. I do think that he does want to play in LA, but I'm going to say this right now. You know how you said earlier that the Charlotte is not that market for him. They're not a top dog market. I'm going to say this. He's not a top dog player to play and ask for like LA. And I think that's the strong conversation we need to have with ourselves and be like, is he Zlatan? No. Is he Chicharito to what the West Coast, because Chicharito to the West Coast is a big deal. Is he that? No. Does the LA Galaxy even want to offer a DP, contract to him? Because if you really think about it, you have a new system going on. You have something that's working. In my opinion, if you can get him on a TAM deal, 100% go for it. But don't break up something that's already working and that's going to be working for multiple years. Now, given if Peck balls out, so this is a transfer that I think is going to take a while, because I can only see it happening if Peck balls out. And if Royce wants a DP deal, Peck balls out at the Olympics, and then Peck gets sold for a profit, a quick turnaround, and then you have an open DP slot. But if you're the LA Galaxy, why are you choosing Marco Royce? So that's my whole thing too. Yeah. You can have what if Joveljic gets an offer and then you have Icardi looking pretty juicy to bring in, you have a whole bunch of options if you're the LA Galaxy. And I think a lot of these European guys are starting to realize that, maybe this league isn't as desperate as we thought they were for these older European guys. Because looking at the map, right, or looking at like what cities are big in the United States. If the whole kind of facelift for the Atlanta United happens, Atlanta doesn't seem like a bad landing spot for Royce. You play in front of 60,000 people. There's a huge German influence in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I would say probably like the biggest population of Germans outside of Germany, right? Or one of them, right? So it's something where that could work. I thought Charlotte was the perfect landing ground for him. I thought Charlotte was going to be, you still play in front of like 50,000 every game. You're going to have everybody love you, rocking your jerseys. And I don't think you're going to have that in LA. So I also don't think that Charlotte turns down, let's say, at LA. If let's say there's a lot of dominoes that have to fall here, but let's say Royce is okay with the TAM deal. If you're the LA Galaxy, you offer him Diego Fagundes, the first round pick, and 200K GAM. I don't think Charlotte says no to that. And that's a big haul. I mean, you get a playmaker off the bench, you get a draft pick, which is usually about 100K, and then you get about 200K in GAM for a player that was never going to sign with you. I think you take that. I think you're getting real greedy if you want some 7-figure discovery right money, in my opinion. And he's the one himself that's turned down Charlotte. So I don't think or his agent at least, I don't think it's something where he has any say where he goes. And if LA wants him, they'll go get him.
Okay.
The Galaxy deal makes no sense to me. Zero
Yeah.
sense. Like no sense. Even the hypothetical of selling Peck in 6 months, like it's just blows my mind, right? Because I think Peck is going to have a really good Olympic, and but I think you're seeing now they absolutely need him. Like with Paintsell out, it is Peck creating, right? Puig is going to be Puig, and I think they just locked him up long term, so he's there. He's not an option to move. Paintsell might be one of the best players in the league. Like you're not moving him, and I think there's a lot of money to be made on Peck, more than just selling him in 6 months. I think if it's me, I think he stays in Europe.
Yeah, and if he's not getting big time money here, like you said, he's 34. It would have to be like a perfect fit, and that's kind of what I felt like St. Louis potentially could be, because I just feel like they're so nuts about the team there. It's not but in the same vein, it's not a huge market, right? Like it's not one of the big giant markets, and it's like I feel like he would fit well enough to where he could be a superstar in that small market.
Yeah.
And to Fabian's point, don't undersell the Charlotte fan base, man. Like they are top 5 attendance every single weekend.
Yeah.
And I go, part of it is they have a huge stadium, but the other part of it is like it's a real passion there for Charlotte as well.
Well, you guys, you both honestly changed my perspective just a little bit on this when you brought up the fact that the league is almost bypassing players like Royce at this point. I mean, that kind of hit me and really resonated when you guys
MLS 3.0, baby. We're at MLS 3.0 now. This ain't 1.0. This is the 1.0 move.
Like Giroud makes more sense to LAFC due to all the French players that they have. This one, like paying for Giroud, and I still think Giroud's actually a very good player.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit of an overpay on the DP money if we're talking about if MLS is a 3.0 league now. But it makes a lot more sense having all those French guys and then making a play for Griezmann, right? So, but I would say this next week, really, really pay attention to Ricky Puig's contract extension, because I think that's going to tell. If that happens, if that domino falls, there has to be something where Ricky Puig is like, no, I'm going to want to get the best team possible in MLS instead of going back to Europe, because he's always wanted to go back to Europe. So if he's signing an extension, they're selling him some sort of pipe dream that they're going to be the best team over Miami. So they're going to have some sort of investment there. I don't think they have time to wait for Peck personally. I think Peck is a great player, but maybe not for LA, right? LA is more of a, let's get Zlatans, let's get Marco Reus.
This is the best Galaxy attack, and I mean since they went on the title runs, like this is the best Galaxy attack in years. Puig, I know, wants to go back to Europe. I don't know if he's going to get the same kind of setup as he's getting in LA. And I'm not talking about just the pipe dream. Puig is great in attack, but his turnovers, like those metrics, like he gives the ball away consistently. You can't be doing that in a top European league. Like I think he actually fits MLS perfectly, where he can ball out and those mistakes don't hurt the team as a whole. We like I can get into like that in the Dallas matchup that's coming up, but like that's why I think Dallas is such a good matchup against the Galaxy, because all they want to do is counter you. And half of that Galaxy's goals conceded come off a Puig turnover, it feels like. Like he's so good and so aggressive, but he turns the ball over so much. I'm not sure he's as good as we think he should be for Europe.
That's a good point. All right. Great chat there. Great discussion. Let's get to the next, the end segment here. And this next one, I just titled this one Big Names, because these are big names, right? And we've got a couple of them to discuss, a couple of them with different teams circulating around them, tied to, man, this is one thing. So I talked to Garrett about this the other day. We text back and forth, and my kind of like beginning to sports betting and news and all this stuff is college football. So transitioning over to professional soccer or football around the world, and trying to get up to speed, the transfer rumors are some of the craziest, like for comparison, right? Like NFL, who's going where. Like somebody says, hey, so-and-so's linked with the Bengals. Like, oh, well, he's going to the Bengals.
Right.
There can
There's
be
only 32 teams.
Yeah, but there can be 15 different teams for one guy, and everybody reporting it is saying it like it's a done deal. And that's because a lot of them are trying to get clout, and a lot of them are trying to get views, and they're not necessarily doing their due diligence. And so like it's a big adjustment, kind of figuring out who's a trustworthy source and all that good stuff. So tons of different teams in Major League Soccer tied to each of these guys. We'll just go left to right here. Memphis Depay. Garrett, you said this was worth at least talking about, even though I haven't seen a ton around him, but I think you saw something a couple days ago that made you feel like this was at least worth discussion.
Twellman. When Twellman chirps about somebody who's out of contract, I listen. So when he chirped, I was like, because in my back of my head, when I saw that he was gonna part, I was like, that would be interesting. But that was just like a fleeting thought in my head, right? Like he in Memphis and the MLS, that would be interesting. And then I see Twellman chirp, and I'm like, okay, now I have to pay attention, right? Because he's not just gonna chirp just to chirp, right? That dude normally has something going on behind the scenes when he says something like that. It's interesting, right? Like I would not love the move, but he's not going to hurt a team. I will say that. I don't think he is the Memphis that we remember, right? Even at only 30 years old, he's definitely trending downward, but most of the teams in the league could do worse than Memphis.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, I have spots right off the top of my head where I think he'd fit great. NYCFC. I mean,
he's better than Morel. I'll say that. He's not. I think when I text with you, he's not burnt toast.
Muriel is
100% burnt toast.
Yeah, he is. He's like the old cheese on the bottom of the oven.
Came back a little too late, or came over here too late, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he's Albert Pujols, when he got really, like real late in his career, and he was hitting like 18 home runs a year, and his upper body was huge, and his legs were like little toothpicks. That's what Muriel's is trending towards that. Like, no,
and they were all making memes about him lying on his birth certificate.
Yeah, which he probably was. I mean, that's common practice.
So for me, let me go a little bit on the Taylor Twellman thing. I think Taylor Twellman's more connected to Apple people than he is, I would say, maybe GMs. And at this point in time, MLS is a product, and MLS is a product for Apple. If you see guys that you recognize from the World Cup, and Memphis is one of them. I mean, going up against Argentina, going up against the US, an Apple exec can probably look at Memphis and say, I know that guy. So if Taylor Twellman's chirping about Memphis Depay, I think that is coming from the big top. I don't think that's coming from the MLS side big top. I think that's coming down from the Apple exec big side top. And I think Memphis, on the other hand, for me, see, maybe this is where I'm a little biased with Royce. I think Memphis is worth blowing it up for. I think if you're LA, you look at this guy and say, dude, what if we get Memphis and Paintsel on a song and it's the biggest song in LA? Like, let's go, you know? So I think Memphis is the type of guy where he wants to play in a big market, and I think he deserves a big market because of his personality. I think this is a player that is going to take full advantage of living in New York and invite Vinicius Jr. over, invite, Dembele over. He's going to invite all these big superstar people or personas and become a celebrity in whatever city. So in my opinion, I think that takes out, unfortunately, the Charlottes, the St. Louis's, the Seattles. This guy is going to either want to play in 3 cities, Miami, LA, or New York. And that's the same thing I have for another guy at the end of this list, which is Griezmann. I think he's the same kind of – they have that stature of – these guys are celebrities as well. And I think Memphis is one where I think he goes for the Saudi money. I think for being that kind of rapper personality that he has –
payday.
Yeah, he wants a payday. I totally get it. I like him as a player. Shoot, I wish he's in this league because that's a person that we would all kind of watch week in, week out if he went to the New York Red Bulls. I don't think he goes to – see, my problem with New York City FC is I wish they weren't connected to City because any player that I think is going to be really good for them is just going to play for City or at least going to rot on that bench. And then if they need him for one game versus – Southampton, they throw him on, right? So I just think I wish the Man City connection was with like a St. Louis instead of in New York because that totally takes out that team from possibly having a superstar that's not connected to the City group, right? So
it just goes against NYC's ethos, though. Like they are a development club for City Group. We saw that with Castellanos. We've seen it with who's the Everton winger? Well, that's my team. Why am I blanking right
Harrison?
now? Yeah, we've seen it. We've seen it with Harrison. Like that's what they're going to do. They are going to profit off of the guys at NYC, which is why I think NYC is not going to do something like the Red Bulls did, which is bring in a guy like Forsberg, pay him, and be like, we're trying to win. I think NYC is just happy that they won the title a couple of years ago. Like, man, that was dumb luck. That's awesome. We got paid. Now things might change when the stadium opens. Because it's still a business, right? Like Citigroup doesn't want its feeder clubs just hemorrhaging money. And so things might change when the stadium opens because you're going to want to fill seats. You're going to need names to do that usually. But yeah, I don't see big names going to NYC, even with it being the market it is, just because, like you said, it's attachments to Citigroup. They're looking for prospects. It's why they spend millions of dollars on an 18-year-old striker from Serbia, like to bring in and to pretty much groom for some other Citigroup team in Europe.
Or like Santi Rodriguez, right? He played for Montevideo Torque, which is another feeder club for the Citigroup that Julian Alvarez played for. So it's like, like Santi Rodriguez is going to make that step eventually too. So if he balls out, he's gone. So it's just like, yeah, it's unfortunate that almost both teams in New York are kind of like feeder clubs. And I know you said that Forsberg came, but he came from the daddy club, right? So it's just like
100%.
Yeah, it's just like, like if there was a Cosmos team, a third team, and they were not connected to anybody, Depay would go there instantly.
So let's segue. Let's skip over Di Maria for a second, and let's just segue into KDB. I know he's been linked primarily with San Diego. Could it not be, what Forsberg did with New York Red Bull, one of those situations? Is KDB to NYC FC, like, is that like totally out of left field or what?
I think
KDB and Pep together.
I think NYC is about making money, right? Like look what they did. Look what they did with Toddy. Like they were so convinced they're going to make money on him that Citigroup took on his salary for a year and he became their player. And he was loaned to NYC and then ends up going to Girona and then makes the big move to Lazio. Citigroup profits nicely off of him. Like that is the formula for NYC. And so that's why I just can't see. Again, when the new stadium opens, things could change, right? Maybe we start to, because then by that time, who knows what the roster rules are in MLS? So, like at that time, if you're able to have 5 or 6, highly touted dudes, then yeah, you could sprinkle in some stud veterans toward the end of their career coming out of another Citigroup team to fill seats, right? Like I get that. What's interesting about KDB is that what was reported is it's his team who reached out to San Diego. And so the fact that his team is putting out feelers, I was like, that's interesting because normally it's the other way around, I feel like. Now, there could be tons of different motives for that. But San Diego, again, like most expansion sides, you got to fill seats. They're in a very competitive market. They're going to have to bring in names to turn that business churning money fairly quickly, right? We already talked about Chucky Lozano. I think that's a knockout. If you're able to bring in KDB, I think that's a second knockout. Even with the injury history, even with all of that, I think it would absolutely crush. And so the fact that his team is what's being reported reached out to San Diego, I think there's absolutely some interest there. Now, whether it goes anywhere, who knows? KDB is going to have a lot of options. And that Saudi money is always there. I think we're seeing now, it's not for everybody, but it will be for some people. And that remains to be seen.
Yeah, KDB to me is a little bit more of an enigma, right? It's like you never really hear about his personal life. Like with Messi, it was like Antonella, the kids, it made a lot more sense to come here. But with KDB, it's like, does he have kids? Like am I outside of the tabloids? Do I not realize these things? Or is it like, why San Diego? The last time the redheaded guy wanted to come over here was Prince Harry, right? It's just like, why California? Why do you want to live here? So it's like you can go anywhere in the world, but you choose California. So I don't know. This one's a weird one to me. And I think this is like, I don't ever see him leaving the Citigroup, to be honest. And I think New York is a better fit for him because just the name, right? So I don't know. It's funny. It's like you invite that one white guy to the Mexican carne asada. If you get Chucky Lozano, you get Memo Ochoa, and you get Hugo Sanchez, right? So it's just like, but it's KDB, right? So you have to respect that, So Benteke is a good person to look at for this kind of transfer, in my opinion. If I was in DC talking on press conferences every time, I would ask about KDB to Benteke every single time, because I feel like Benteke with Origi was giving some truthful answers and saying, Origi actually didn't reach out to me yet. And then that was kind of when the transfer rumors for Origi to LAFC kind of died down. So All-Star game is going to come out. Benteke is going to probably be an All-Star. So you're going to see more things come out about KDB. And I think we're going to, see. That's another good idea there. If Puig leaves, we got to take a look at that kind of contract that he's going to get this week that the Galaxy are alluding to. What's going to happen there?
Yeah,
I don't want to undersell San Diego. It's a beautiful city. I mean, like, it is a desirable place to live. So we're talking about the big markets. San Diego is definitely a city that I think a lot of professional athletes would check off their list of potentials, right? Like so they're in a really good location.
Yeah, the location is one of the best in the world, right? But I don't know. I mean, if you're a player like Kevin De Bruyne and you're already kind of considering Saudi for the money, right? Maybe you're not necessarily so concerned about like, oh, well, it's San Diego's first year. They don't really have much of a fan base. Where's the pedigree? At this point, it's like he's already done that. And so if he's already considering moves for, a nice place to live with his family and tons of money, maybe it doesn't have to be Galaxy. It doesn't have to be, New York, type market. And maybe that's why this is a potential fit. I mean, honestly, I would be shocked. I mean, it would be insane to have Lozano and KDB. If KDB comes to the league right now at all, I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be nuts, right? So I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I just feel like what is he, 30, what is he, 32, 33?
I think he's 33.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's
like the best player in the league if he comes today, right? So like I think I would even say probably better than Messi, maybe, you know, or
no chance.
Or at that point.
No chance.
At that point.
I don't know. I mean, some people, he's widely accepted as a top 5 player in the world still, right? When he's healthy. But Messi, let's not have the debate right now. But
well, Messi can play. Is that come on? Like he's played how many games? 6 games this year? Like
who?
And he's leading. He's right there for the Golden Boot and leading an assist. Like the man can play 30 minutes a match and get a brace and call it a night.
I almost don't even want him to win that stuff because it's not fair,
I don't think. Here's the craziest thing about Messi. I don't think he's regressed. Like when I watch him move and play, I don't think he's regressed almost at all.
It looks the way it does, mainly because the IQ is on a whole nother like universe. It's not even in a different galaxy. It's in a whole nother universe. He's making MLS defenses, which are already not great, just look silly. And he's making it look easy because for Messi, it is easy.
I think they get demoralized though. If you look at that 5 assist game, the New York players didn't even want to play. Like it was like 3 assists, and then the rest were just like, But take this how you want to. In the last 3 games, Messi has had 0 goal contributions. Played in 2 of them, but still, in the last 3 games, he had 3 goal contributions. So, is Messi a guy who has his eyes on Copa America and the national team? Or is he going to ball out because he needs to get? Is he going to ball out right now to get kind of going? Right, like he's going to have to. These 2 games are pretty interesting for Messi, to be honest. I was listening to the show beforehand. I think he's going to just ball out because he needs to get to a certain level for Argentina, but we'll see, right?
Yeah, and then let's get right into some Di Maria talk because he's been mostly connected with Messi in Miami. I'm cool with it. I like it. I think you put look. I don't care that they're all in their mid to late 30s. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not. It doesn't matter what you say about this. I still love it. They're still great. Like they're still, even if they're all old, they're still great. Like it's still like watching an incredible team on the field. I have no issue with it.
I think this is like a LeBron thing where we all look at the age and think of maybe about 10 years ago where it's like, oh my God, he's 36.
Yeah.
But I feel like sports science has gotten a lot better in these last 10 years. So a lot of these guys can get some more productive years later in their careers. So I think that is the case with Messi and guys like Di Maria, but they are going to need speed. Sorry to cut you off a little bit here, but Di Maria coming to Inter Miami is something that if I'm Austin FC, I'm not pulling the trigger on that $7 million transfer. I'm saying I'm going to give you $2 million GAM. I'm going to give you a whole bunch of fodder, some draft picks, or whatever you want, or international spots. So I want Campana and I want Robert Taylor on my Austin team this year.
Right.
I'll take your young DP and I'll take your other good player for a whole bunch of GAM, so you can make these contracts work, plus some international spots. Give them 4. You do something where they're gonna need them. But that's, in my opinion, if you're Austin, I think you look at those two guys. Those 2 guys should be on your Austin team.
It wouldn't even take that much to get Campagna.
You think so? Really?
It wouldn't take that much because here's the thing: they're going to have to get rid of his DP spot. It's either buy him down with GAM that I don't think they have yet, and then how are they going to get that GAM? There's no other real assets out there now. The way the roster, I can only look at this as the way the roster rules are currently set up, right? They're already going to have turnover going into next season because they've got too many under 22s, or they don't get another DP, right? You can buy Campagna down and keep 4 under 22s because it lets you do 2 TPs and 4 under 22s, or you can do 3 and 3, right?
Well, so it's rumored that you can do both now, or that's what they're saying. I think for the next year, if
I'm just going for the summer. Like what they're changing in the summer is the decoupling to where you can have 2 and 4 or 3 and 3, and you no longer have to have a young DP to have all 3 under 22 slots.
Got
Now, come winter, who knows what they do, right? Like we
Right.
thought they were going to make big moves last winter, and they did nothing. And so, it's hard to know what the league is going to do going forward. To make this work this summer is next to impossible, in my opinion. Which is why there's like rumors of him playing somewhere for 6 months and then coming to Miami. I still don't see that. Even if it happens, I'm just not a fan of it. Like
Mm.
what you're going to need with Messi and why he's doing fine right now is because you need speed. You need speed on the wings. Robert Taylor runs his ass off. Like
Yeah, he does.
that is one thing he does. And Robert Taylor wasn't good before Messi got there. Like I think we need to understand that. Like he was not good. He was fine. He would get capped for the Finnish national team, but he wasn't good. And then now Messi's there and things just change, right? Because that's just the way it goes when you bring superstars onto a team. Robert Taylor is not the Robert Taylor he is if Messi's not there, if Suarez isn't there, right? Pulling defenders away, creating all this space. So good for Robert Taylor, but yeah, you're going to have speed. Di Maria does not offer you that. And I don't know what you're going to do with Busquets, Messi, Suarez, and Di Maria if you make that work in some way, right? Because the Barca boys don't want to break up. And so, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you make that work.
Is Suarez really going to play another year?
I don't know. I think if he's going to play Copa America, it's like, why wouldn't you play another year? You're playing with friends, right?
That's the thing. It's like, why not? Unless, I mean, I get it. He looks like he's in pain when he plays. I understand those knees are gone. But I thought he was washed when he went to Brazil. And then in Brazil, he balls out. I said, he's not, maybe 15 goals, maybe, right? But only because he's got Messi there to feed him. I think he's going to crush that. Right. So like it's going to have to be Miami forces him not to play. Like, I don't know why if he has another year on the contract, why you don't stay.
Especially at TAM money. If he's not going to want more money, it's like, yeah, you got to just, I mean, he's at what, 12? He's a MVP candidate right now, right? Why don't you bring a TAM MVP candidate?
The golden boot odds are something like plus 175 for Messi, plus 350 for Suarez. Like, like they are back to back. And so it's just hard, man. It is hard to see this working because at the end of the day, you can bring in all these studs. At the end of the day, you have to give Tata a team he can actually perform with, right? And there have been growing pains with this Miami team. We've seen it. He cannot play a back three. Do not do it. Miami can't do it. And that's something that he's tried a lot with because he knew defense was going to be an issue. And it just doesn't work. And so I don't know how you make this work. Di Maria is probably not washed, but I don't know how Miami makes it work.
Also, does Di Maria go to Copa America? So that's another thing to think about. Is this guy going to be on the books if he's going to be gone for the first month of kind of like that 6 month? But I can see it happening if they can kind of bring in a guy to cover for Ferrer because they need to cover that salary up and they need to get another defender because Kristoff is not going to cut it. Then 2, kind of maybe get rid of Kristoff for any 100K GAM or whatever you can get. And then Diego Gomez is probably going to get an offer. I saw something out there of him maybe getting an offer from Villa. And then I think the most you can get in GAM back is about $1 million, if I'm not mistaken. So you could get a little GAM there. You probably sell Robert Taylor for 800, 600, 700K GAM around
that's
that.
A steal. If you can sell Robert Taylor for 800K, you are robbing people blind. And that is amazing.
But then at that point, you have let's say close to 2 million again. Maybe you can buy down Campana and then bring him in, right? So it's just something where it's like, oof, you can do it, but you might have to blow it up, and then you're risking the supporters shield, or you're risking not playoffs. You're going to make playoffs, but like you're not going to get that supporters shield, and I think a lot of people might get disappointed about that.
All right, so let's do something real quick here. 4 guys on the screen, and this is going to be a little bit of a lightning round. Elaborate if you want, and then we're going to have to wrap it up because I'm tired and hungry. So, 4 guys on the screen. I will start. How many of the 4 end up in Major League Soccer sometime in the next 9 months. I'm going to say 2 of the 4, Griezmann and Di Maria.
Oh, you think Griezmann's coming that fast?
In the next 9 months, yeah. Garrett?
I think 3.
Mm.
I think Griezmann, Di Maria, and I think KDB.
Whoa. Really? Wow.
Listen, man, it means, for me, it means a lot when representatives are reaching out to a team, feeling it out.
I mean, I didn't expect that. I really didn't. That's all right. Fabian?
A part of me wants to say 4 out of 4 because I think Apple's really knocking to get more stars in this league. But I want to say 2 out of 4. And I want to say it's Di Maria and KDB. I don't think Griezmann comes that fast. I think Griezmann's going to be here eventually. But for some weird reason, Griezmann is still a player that I think a lot of La Liga sides would love to have. And he's not represented by an agency that has too many MLS guys, which I kind of looked into. So he's represented by Bayern 4. On the other hand, Di Maria's kind of camp is already connected to Giroud's kind of agency, and Giroud and Bouanga and Chanot and Lloris getting those French guys over to LA. Di Maria actually has used that agency before for PSG. So this is something where I think Di Maria is a little more connected. KDB, like you said, his representative is reaching out. I think Griezmann is coming, but I don't think it's coming for another year.
Wow. Awesome takes there from both of you. Both of you feel like KDB's coming, basically, is what I just heard.
Let's bring another redheaded, guy over, to California. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a good time out here in San Diego. I personally think if he comes, I'm gonna be down there all the time. That's for sure.
Yeah, I may have to make the trip myself. Fantastic stuff. Let me run these down real quick one more time. For those of you that stuck with us to the end of the show, I hope you guys enjoyed. First play.
Don't bring in anybody right now. Wait to Di Maria. All right. See what Di Maria does. Bring in Campana. That's what I think.
I would love to see Campana go to Austin. I think that would be.
I can promise you though, Tata would hate to have to get rid of him.
Yeah.
It is such a luxury to be able to bring Campana off the bench. Like,
right.
No one in MLS has that kind of striker depth. Nobody.
No. Suarez and Campana? That's absurd. I mean, second is probably Cucho and
Christian Ramirez?
And Ramirez, yeah. That'd probably be second.
Or Kokoro and Josef.
Yeah, but neither of them can stay healthy.
Burnt toast.
Hey, if one of them was not injured, they would be a little better than what they are now.
And look, I'm a huge Joseph fan, but like those knees, they ain't there anymore. And I don't know if this guy they brought in is actually like legit. I haven't seen it yet. What I like about Montreal is a great system, right? But the talent is way subpar.
Yeah, I like Kokoro, but man, he's been hurt a lot, and Josef,
he's got to make more than penalties. I got to see more than just penalties out of him.
And then LAFC finally getting a striker. Bogusz can not play striker now.
Yeah, jeez.
And Bogusz is happy about that. Like,
yeah. Oh, what about Kip Kelsey and Bupenza? I think that could be kind of something up there too.
So part of the Griezmann thing was like, I'm not sure Bupenza lasts the summer. If a good deal comes in, I mean, because he was already chirping for a contract, he got it. But if a good deal comes in,
you mean Bouanga?
Yeah, sorry, Bouanga.
Yeah.
I do think for LAFC, like I think LAFC selling Bouanga is more likely than Galaxy blowing it up right now.
So the one thing that really kind of makes me feel like Bouanga is the reason why this French connection's there. So I don't think you get rid of Bouanga and have Lloris and all those Chanot, and because they actually have all the same agents. So it's the weirdest thing. It's like
you're just swapping a French guy for a French guy at that point. Like,
yeah, I guess so, right?
And then you're running two up top, and then it's just they're just scoring goals.
But I can see Kike Oliveira leaving after the World Cup if he bangs in some goals next to Darwin Nunez for Uruguay.
And that would be good business too. because it didn't cost them a lot to bring him over to get him, and that would be a good flip.
And that would be an opening for Griezmann. If that opens up, if that happens, I think Griezmann comes quicker than I initially thought.
Yeah, I think Boanga still wants to play in Europe sooner rather than later. So
I think a lot of players are actually liking the time. This is my whole theory. Let me give it to you real quick. I think a lot of players are realizing how much media attention MLS players are. So I think a lot of players are seeing like, wait, why do I know about Lucho Acosta and Denis Bouanga? Like, why do I know about these players? They would be like medium range players in Ligue 1. So like, why do I know about these players? So I think we're getting a lot of these European guys kind of realizing, whoa, this Apple deal is actually kind of cool. Like, I can be a bigger superstar than I already am. And I already am a superstar. So I think a lot of them are getting jealous of this media attention that these guys are getting.
Yeah,
no, I think that's a good point, and
it's just the evolution of the league. You had Pele, who brought it to light in the 70s. Then you had Beckham. That changed the game. Messi's here. The game has changed again.
Yes, it has.
Well, you see like Bleacher Report posting like Lucho Acosta's braids. It's like, what? Like that's worldwide. So it's like you have all these guys at Southampton that are probably better, and they're just like, wait, who's this Lucho Acosta guy, right? Like, and why do people care about his braids? Like, so it's just interesting to kind of think about.
Absolutely. All right. Well, fantastic show, guys. Thanks for sticking with us through it. Fabian, thanks for coming on, man. Really enjoyed it. Yeah, it was awesome talking transfers. Garrett, as always. Final reminder to like and subscribe. That does us a lot of good. And follow us on Twitter at MLSLIVE Podcasts. Follow Fabian on Twitter as well. I think that's your @, right there.
Thank you.
And
my man's a hustler.
Oh, I appreciate that.
My man's working 25 hours a day. So yeah, y'all check him out.
Absolutely love it. We will see you guys next week, and let's crush some MLS winners.
See you guys. Best of luck.